Hey, everybody. Welcome into Northwoods TCG. Thank you guys for joining us this evening as we're just getting kicked off again. And now that baseball's done, we should be back to a more normal time frame when it comes down to our lives. So thank you guys, everybody that's going to be joining in here this evening. Hopefully you guys have had a fantastic summer so far, and hopefully you had a great 4th of July as we're rolling into the rest of the week. So today, I'm going to have some fun. That's right, we're going to be talking about the Chooose. That's right, choose your PokeTuber investor and do it quick before you miss out. That's right. There are a lot of personalities out there right now in the hobby that are just literally going around and around in circles on what you should do with your investments, how you should do your investments. Hypershill, shilling, we are talking about investing, we're talking about missing out, we're talking about crashes, we're talking about all the great things in the Pokemon TCG that we love to hear about when we're talking about your Pokemon collection. So it's just funny. It's funny to me, all the people that come out with all these expert advices and all these things that they have going right now, and their points and how much they can differentiate between each other, how many of them give you really, really good insights sometimes, and how some of them just really seem to miss the mark, in my opinion, with what you should be doing. Hypershilling, using that terminology, it's kind of getting old, in my opinion. It's a key phrase for a certain YouTube creator. I know a lot of people know Team Rocket Joey. But realistically, let's be 100% honest. Most people in this hobby at this point in time have enough recognition in the hobby to understand what they're shilling, what's going on, what people are pushing, and probably doing a little bit of research into their content creators when it comes down to what they're actually offering. Now, does that mean that there's going to be a shift or a change in what's happening in the Pokemon TCG in the next few months? Of course. I think as we get to the end of Scarlet and Violet, as things continue to shift, there's going to be a change in who you follow. It could be important to your overall success in the Pokemon TCG. Do I think you should be just holding on the product at this point in time? Yes, you're coming into the slower sales. Now's the time to be holding some of your products that you've been potentially selling. And if they haven't been selling, rather than chase that price to the bottom, don't chase your price to the bottom. Make sure you guys are holding strong and continuing to maximize your profits when it comes down to these particular products. This is not the time to sell. Coming up this fall is the time to sell. Just remember that as you keep going on. Buying is the key right now. Buying products right now at lower prices is definitely the key. Now, does Team Rocket Joey have some good points when it comes down to the Pokemon TCG? Yes, I think he has some really good points sometimes. He has a spin-off on it that gives you a really good way to think about things sometimes. And are they always accurate? No, I don't think so. I think that he likes to throw out a lot of different things a lot of times to try and make something stick. Sometimes he likes to really, really push the narrative that, hey, if you... I don't want to say push narrative. It's really hard sometimes to understand if he's being serious or if he's being, facetious when he's talking about something. Is he giving you the actual story, or is he giving you this false story? Which also puts that bit of intrigue into what you're actually hearing from him. So, is he a good source? I think he's got some good points. I think that you take his points and really, really dig into those points. There's some merit behind it. I think that there's some opportunity behind those. So just for everybody that's out there when it comes on Team Rocket Joey, I think that he's got some things. I think that he's got some good perspectives, but I also think that there's a lot of satire in what he does, and trying to understand exactly what he's talking about can be very difficult, especially while he's poking fun at someone like Nostalgianomics. Now, Nostalgianomics, is this another individual that's really, really good to... Is this a really, really good... Nostalgianomics always has good points. I mean, let's be 100% honest. I don't always agree with his takes sometimes. And do I think that sometimes he's a little aggressive for a lot of the market? I think so. Sometimes I think that he'll push which ones are good, which ones are bad. He'll really sit there and try and break things down and, try and always find the cup is always half full narrative rather than potentially looking at the cup as half empty. And that is the bigger thing that we really want to look at when it comes to Nostalgianomics. I think he has some really good points. Once again, sometimes being a little bit against it and kind of thinking in the other direction with Nostalgianomics can help you sometimes. He's very business driven, very business orientated on how he wants to really sell his products. A lot of the stuff that he is talking about is stuff that he's also currently selling, which is one of them things that's really difficult sometimes in this space, that if you are going from more of an investment channel to a business channel, you kind of have to be careful. And myself, I try to be very careful on how I present that, because I don't want to present something that I'm selling as a good investment or a huge investment and make it sound like I'm trying to tell you to go buy my stock. Typically, I don't do that. If you've noticed that I will do a video talking about buying something, and that is really the stuff that I'm buying. It's not stuff that I'm selling currently and I'm hoping that you'll go buy it off my channel. A lot of times I won't even bring up my channel when I'm talking about investment things or my sales sites, because I don't want you to go to them and try and find that product. The product I'm selling on my for sale sites are typically not investment prices. They're usually resale pricing. And yeah, sometimes the pricing is good because when I purchase something, I just mark up 20% and that's how I sell it. So if I buy something at MSRP, I'm going to mark it up 20%. You're going to get a 20% markup. Flat out. No lie. That's exactly how I do it. So in general, I just want people to know that if you go to my site and you're looking at that stuff, some of the stuff is at market price too. If I'm buying stuff or have been holding stuff as long-term investments and I'm deciding to clean out, then I will put that stuff up at current market value. But realistically, right now, I'm not getting a lot from distribution, so I'm not really selling anything at MSRP. And when I'm talking about investments, I try not to push products that I'm currently selling. That isn't necessarily the same for Nostalgianomics a lot of times. Nothing against them for doing that. A lot of people, once again, have the ability to kind of dig through that surface and really get through that narrative and hopefully be able to figure it out. But there are some people in this hobby that are fairly new and don't understand that. So once again, there is some good points. He makes some really good points, and he has been very historically accurate to what's happening in the hobby, and it has continued to move forward and do really well futuristically for anybody who's followed his tactics. Granted, we haven't seen any really hard bear markets yet in the Pokemon TCG, so when we do, that would be a really good scenario to go back and see how well they hold. I think that overall, Pokemon's is going to continue to do well. The narrative of being either aggressive or trying to pick your poisons and try and pick the best investments both work. They're good tactics and they work really well, which is where it comes to Pokeodds, which is another one that I've been kind of watching a little bit. And there has been a lot of interesting takes with Pokeodds. That he was very, very steady on how he did things. And yes, he's an Australian content creator, so the markets are a little bit different, but he does also fluctuate a lot when it comes down to those investment styles and how you should be holding stuff and what you should be holding. And he'll kind of contradict himself sometimes in a lot of the discussions that he has. And that is something that happens. You know, sometimes your point of view does change over time on products, whether you think ETBs are going to be great investments in 20 years or in 5 years, you decide, well, maybe ETBs weren't the best investment and we should be retracking that. That's just natural course of investment. I know some people like to point that out as differentiations. I've seen some content creators even pick on Pokeodds for that. And the fact of the matter is that as time changes, so should your investments. If you're thinking something is a good investment and you go 4 or 5 years and have a good investment on that, but it changes and that opportunity persists another direction, then you should be capitalizing on that actual movement in that and taking that persistence the other direction and really capitalizing on that. There's no point in staying in a bad investment and continuing to stay on your high ground sometimes when market changes happen. When we talk about that, go back to Sun and Moon, for example, with ETBs. Sun and Moon ETBs were one of the best buys you could get. Everything up until Sword and Shield, ETBs were the best buy that you could get because ETBs never got reprints. They were a one and done. They were done at release. They would be on the store shelves, and when they sold out, you'd never see them again. So they were great opportunities going back from Sun and Moon all the way back to when they first came out in black and white. But that had changed in Sword and Shield. So in Sword and Shield, that makes you throw that up in the air. Do we need to adapt to the new market climate? Do we have to adapt to what Pokemon TCG is offering and start saying, well, maybe ETBs are no longer the best investments and these booster boxes became the better investment? That's what shifted. They used to print booster boxes to the ground in Scarlet or Sword and Shield or in Sun and Moon, but then in Scarlet or Sword and Shield, they shifted that. They went to ETBs as the primary sales force. Now, in Scarlet and Violet, we haven't seen reprints of anything. So, again, you're adjusting to what the Pokemon TCG is doing. And when you're looking at content creators that are shifting sometimes, that shift isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it's just a natural shift because of the changing in the market and how the market is being presented to you by the Pokemon TCG. What's good in this era of Pokemon, what's good in Sun and Moon may not be the best of a move in Scarlet and Violet, and what was good in Sword and Shield may not have been a good move in Sun and Moon. And once again, if you go all the modern sets and just keep shifting that around, that perspective can change all the time. So it really does change by era, and it really does change by how the Pokemon International Company really adapts and changes on that market. So when it comes down to content creators like Pokeodds, good information, but once again, kind of seems like they're kind of flighty sometimes in changing their opinion. And in my opinion, he changes quite often and frequently, a little too frequently sometimes. But he's still, once again, if you take all of the content creators that you can look at right now, and there are a lot of young people in this hobby as well, that are coming in and trying to find a place in this hobby when it comes down to investment and opportunities in investment. And that is definitely going to be a situation too, where we're going to have people learning, hey, this has worked for me for the last 2 years, but now we're in a different market space, and that may change as well. There are also good content creators that I like to watch too. Pokémon. I know some people that's going to be a very controversial one, like Nostalginomics, like Team Rocket Joey. All of these could be very controversial when it comes down to who you think will be really good, who you think would be good people to follow. But in general, they are very, very good information pieces all in their own. And you have to take them all as different pieces and continue to put that together, right? You can't take everybody at word, and you can't take everybody at the direction that they're going, because everybody's journey in the Pokemon TCG is different. At the end of the day, what works for me may not work for you as well. If you're in northern Wisconsin or if you're in California, that may be a completely different market and can completely change how you overall look at that market and what you can do to capitalize on that current environment that you're into. So sometimes finding a content creator that's close to you is really good. Danny Phantom, always great information. If you're going to be looking at a potential source for information, if you just want raw data and really, really good insight into the hobby from years of experience, Danny Phantom has really got that for you. Really good information. I've used Danny Phantom since I've pretty much been back in the hobby as information, and I really, really do think that it's very, very good information from Danny. Yeah, some of the stuff is, I've even gone on against some of the things that Danny says, like, for example, Lost Origins, when it was 135, oh, you missed a train, don't buy it, now it's worthless. Well, I completely disagree with that. It just depends on when you come into the hobby. Now, if you were in the hobby and it was $115 and you waited till $150 to buy it, well, it's kind of your own mistake. But if you haven't been in the hobby and you're just coming in and getting started, then maybe 150 isn't a bad buy-in point. There is no real way to miss a train in the Pokemon TCG from anything that I've experienced yet. Going back to 1999 to 2006, from 19 all the way to today. When you think you miss a train, the chances are is that there'll be another stop. You just have to get to that stop and jump on it before you miss it again, because then you just got to keep trying to jump the stops. And the longer you wait, the more potential growth that you're losing in that particular product, or percentage gain in those particular products. So those are all things that are definitely to be considered when you're looking at content creators that are currently out there in the space as well. Dan, Catch 'em All Collectibles, once again, I'll throw him up with a shout out. Great information again, really, really analytical when it comes down to business, and very analytical on how he, does things, goes through the data, really breaks down the products and why they're really may be good investments, good buys, good sales at this point in time. So once again, a very data-driven, just like you're talking about Danny Phantom. They seem to be very comparable, in my opinion. Sometimes their viewpoints, Dan seems to be a little bit more, I don't want to say it. Danny Phantom's very conservative. Dan is a little bit more liberal. He'll take a little bit more risk on his purchasing and a little bit more risk on what he's currently buying. And he'll give it to you straight that does he think that something's going to have gain? Yes, Danny Phantom seems to be like a finite number. If you missed it at this point, well, you might as well not go back for it at this point in time, while Dan is not necessarily that way. So there's a really good difference on those ones when it comes down to that overall performance. And I'm just going through, basically, I'm just going down my list right now of content creators that I'm currently really watching quite a bit just to get a good feel for what's happening in this market. These are individuals that I do watch and do continue to try and keep up with what's happening. PTC G radio, definitely a really good source. If you guys don't follow PTCG radio, definitely missing out. He seems to have a really good connection to what's coming, whether it's a reprint, number one, number two, whether it's new product, number three, whether it's release. He seems to be right there with Poke Beach and Poke Guardian, and giving us that information right up front in a video just as fast as they are. So he has really got a good connection somewhere that he's getting some very good information and getting it to us very quickly, which is good. If you're looking for need to know information, or if you're trying to decide whether or not you should purchase or something, or if you want to know what's coming up and just being released and information being released, great source. Make sure you follow him. Great source for information on what's coming and what kind of reprints and products that are coming in the near future as well. Not so much of an investment channel, but sometimes when you're looking at Pokemon investment, you really need to be looking at what's coming and reprints and all that scheduling that's coming. And information is king. When you can get more information from these individuals, that's going to help you out in the long run. Going down through the other ones that I got here, Deep Pocket Monsters always has some good information. TCA Gaming, once again, he's not so much investing as he is the business side of thing of the Pokemon TCG. But once again, if you're looking at what's selling and looking at what is doing well for sales, then that kind of gives you direction too for what you should be investing. If something is being very successful in the sales end of the Pokemon TCG, it usually gives you a good indication for where you might want to hold on to some products for future growth as well. It's really good opportunities potentially there as well, and gives you some really good insight to what might be sought after futuristically. If it's sought after now and in high numbers, chances are it's going to be a very good information piece for the future as well, that someone's going to want to collect that in the overall future scheme of things. And of course, I don't think I can complete any list here in the Pokemon TCG without at least giving a shout out to Rudy. Rudy, once again, one of those individuals that I enjoy his content. He has a really good spin on things, and he keeps it really interesting through most of the video, which gives you a good opportunity to follow. Once again, do I 100% agree with his points? No, I think sometimes he's looking at it in a perspective that if you've got $1 million to laying around to go put in Pokemon, Rudy's perspective is gold, right? You can sit there and spend a lot of money in different areas of the Pokemon TCG and still be successful just because of the fact that you have money, and it really doesn't matter if you sit on it. And that's a good perspective when it comes down to Rudy. But a lot of times, he'll sit there and say things are never going to go down, the prices are never going to change, the value's never going to change, and there is no evidence to support some of the things he says. A lot of times it's just spouting out, and then once again, gets down to that rabbit hole is this a train of thought that he's just being satire, or is this actually business or investing advice that he's giving you? Or is he shilling his Patreon so you go buy more Pokemon product for him? Sometimes that gray area becomes pretty persistent when it comes down to those particular items as well. And last but not least, I'm going to throw it out there, Cardinal Gaming. Once again, Mason from Cardinal Gaming. Always really good to see what's happening on the business front of things. I know he's not really investing, but once again, I do use those kind of individuals like Mason's information on what's happening on the front lines. Because once again, if you know what's happening on the front lines in an LGS, you can get a feel for where things are going and how things are going to perform futuristically. And if you start taking all of that information, whether you look at Mason at Cardinal Gaming and try and find out what's happening on the front lines, what's selling, what he can't get, why he can't get it, is there going to be futuristic demand for that? Is it in high demand and people are really looking for it and he can't give it? That's all information that you can use. And if you take all these informations from the 10 plus YouTube that I just named in here and talked about, then you could sit there and start building a picture for where your Pokemon investments should go. Is there one expert in the YouTube nation that I would tell you to follow without any question on how to invest in the Pokemon? No, there is not a single person in this hobby, and I hope nobody in this chat and in comments come back later and say, absolutely follow this person no matter what. If you're following just one content creator, you're doing yourself a disservice and you're putting yourself in a very bad position. I make content here about investment. I talk about business, and to be 100% honest, I don't just follow my own advice. I always look at other people's advice too. I try to bring that into my channel and try and help you guys make good decisions on how to adapt and change. I also try and use it for my own self as well to try out to see if things are working or not. And there's different people out there in this hobby that have very good perspectives. Sometimes, like I've said in other videos, they solidify your perspective and say, yes, this is the absolute right way to do this. I made the right call. Let's keep going with this. Or number two, they make you question your decision and go, why did I choose this? Man, what he's saying makes sense against why I chose this. Why don't I look at that before I make this choice? So sometimes getting out of your own head and changing directions will really help you in your Pokemon investments in the near future and what's going to happen in the future. People's perspectives are very interesting, that sometimes no matter how much you think that you're being open to the hobby and how much you try and keep an open mind on how the hobby is doing, you will a lot of times miss opportunities, or number two, you will make mistakes in purchasing things that really weren't good for you or good for your investment or your collection. Let's just say you're getting out of the investment completely and just looking at the collection side of things. You could also have the same issue with your collection as well, where you start making mistakes and buying things that really weren't good timing to buy because you're in your own head. Getting out of it, following someone else's advice, looking at how they're doing things, and sometimes making decisions with them in mind can really make a big influence on how you perform on your investments. So, do I say that you should follow me only? Absolutely not. I think anybody that's been on my channel for more than 6 months will say, without a doubt, that I've said that several times, is that don't only take my word for doing things, use other people's information for doing things as well. Everybody has a perspective. Everyone has a way to build on that, and everybody has a way of doing things. And let's be 100% honest. If they've been here for multiple years, chances are that they have been successful for quite a few years in this hobby. If they've been on YouTube for several years, and you see, like me, I went from a little bitty itty bitty corner when I came on in like 2020, and now I've got a whole room full of Pokemon products that have been continuing to grow and change and adapt. That tells you that an individual is probably doing fairly good and understanding on what's going on in the market. Not always, don't get me wrong, people just have money, and it's really hard to tell if that's the case. But in general is that if you're seeing modifications and things happening in their backgrounds, and you see things changing, they're talking about different products and they're holding different products, chances are is that they're probably doing fairly well, and they're probably got a pretty good understanding that what works for them, which is the key word. What works for them. What works for me will not always work for you. I can give you a direction, an idea, a plan, but you need to adapt it for where you live, what you're doing, what your plans are, and how it works for you. If you don't have the stamina to do a video on YouTube every single day, maybe YouTube's not the place to go. Or TikTok, for example. If you don't want to do a short every day to be successful as a content creator, TikTok is not the place for you. YouTube is going to be a little bit more lenient because you can do a video once every 2 to 3 days. As long as you're consistent, you do fairly well. Do a consistent live. Your channel continues to grow. It may not be fast if you did everyday content, but at least it'll continue to grow. But if you go to like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you got to do daily content, sometimes 2, 3, 4 times a day in order to be successful. So once again, what works for me may not always work for you. You need to take my information and turn it into something that you can do for yourself. What works for you? Take multiple people's information and create your own hybrid. I'm going to use an analogy that I used to use when I was learning to do HVAC trade. I went and worked with probably 10 individuals in my life that were about 50 years plus, all very senior members in the HVAC community. They all taught me how to do specific jobs in the HVAC trade. They all taught me how to do sheet metal. They all taught me how to do plumbing. They all taught me how to do venting and piping and boilers and do all these things. And not a single thing that I do is exactly like any of them. I created a hybrid system that worked for me based on the information of 10 other people. So I created a hybrid situation that worked for me, that worked the best for me by following those individuals and learning from them to really create those techniques and those attributes that work best for me. And granted, some of them work a lot better just because you got information. You may do better than me. You may do better than Nostalginomics. You may do better than any of these guys if you take hybrid systems and start building on those. So once again, word of mouth, when it comes down to it, when you're going to choose a Pokemon expert, use multiples, guys. There is no real true Pokemon expert. Some of them are going to be very much on the high flying, spend a lot of money and be very, very lucrative with your funds. And some of them are going to be very conservative, and they're going to give you a conservative route, give you very safe options. And sometimes finding something as a mix between all of those experts are definitely going to give you a good route between things. Oh, one I forgot I'm going to put out there right now is Pokemon knowledge. Once again, Pokemon knowledge throughout the years has really helped me stay grounded in what's happening in Pokemon TCG. Sometimes you get a little bit flighty, and I'll give it out to Pokemon knowledge. He's done a great job on his videos of keeping things kind of grounded. Lately, he's been getting a little bit different on his videos a little bit, but that's fine. But through the years, he's been very, very good at grounding you and really giving you a perspective of, being a little bit more secure and kind of tying everything together sometimes. And having that good binder channel is always good. The other one that was really good at that was Pokenomics. Loved Pokenomics, Jake, when he was out, but he doesn't do very much content anymore, or hasn't been. I haven't seen any content in quite a while. But Jake was always another one, had some really good grounding in the hobby that gave you that really good ground to really build a base on, to give yourself a direction and really grow. So those are some channels I just wanted to go through. Some of these so-called experts out there. I haven't gone through very many of the young guns. Let's be 100% honest. I haven't really shifted to very many of them. I catch videos now and then, but they just feel very green, like repeats of 2021, the ones that I've seen, 2020, 2021. Seeing a lot of the same advice that people were making mistakes of during that boom and getting caught up in really bad situations as that market cooled. Now that we're coming down to this cool down situation, we're kind of seeing that same thing where we're seeing that like retraction in that pricing and seeing that pull down that makes it very difficult to really, really sometimes listen to some of that content because you're just sometimes afraid that that's going to come back and blow up in your face. So that's just been one of those things. I haven't gotten into too many young guns just because they they just feel sometimes like just repeat of 2020, 2021. And I'm really advanced enough or been in here long enough that I really don't want to get caught up into that mindset any longer. It's a more civilized, more grounded out view when it comes down to the Pokemon TCG. So once again, thank you guys, everybody, for coming in. That's my rant for the evening. Once again, go in the comments or the chats. Make sure you guys put in whatever you guys want to talk about after this, whether it's more things about YouTube creators, or if you guys want to talk about something that's going on in the market currently. If you want to sit there and just discuss what's happening with Pokemon business, make sure you guys throw that in the comment section. This is now for you guys, and this is now your show for where we go from here. Going down the chat right now, we got Carl. Thank you so much for joining in, and thanks for being number one first on the chat. Greatly appreciated. We got Gengar in the chat. He's got a couple comments. We'll go back to those. Gimbo, how you doing? Or Jimbo. I always say Gimbo. Jimbo Slice, thank you so much for joining in as well. And Pokey Newfo, thank you so much for being in here as well. Thank you guys for joining in. We should be getting more consistent now with our times of being here right around this 9:15. I'm going to shoot to get back to 9. Summer, it's just so light outside that it's really hard to get back in here, and that's definitely a lot of issues still with summertime, and this is why people don't buy much Pokemon, right? They're outside until dark, until 10 o'clock, rather than being back in at like 6-7 o'clock. So it's a little bit of an adaptation right now with getting through the summer months, but once we get through summer, it won't be too bad. Gengar says, no, Team Rocket Joey is a clown. I can't watch him anymore. He has a hard time articulating a point and often talks in circles. That I have noticed, especially in this newest content here. Will 100% agree with you. I haven't been able to watch the last few videos on him just because a lot of times he works too hard right now to like poke fun at the hyper shilling. He works too hard to try to incorporate like going after or saying something about nostalgianomics and his stuff. That he's almost caught in this like recirculating circle of trying to say something, snarky towards NN, and he almost talks in circles because he's trying to do it. And I 100% get it. His information is there though. If you can get past him trying to, articulate something against Nostalgianomics or another content creator, if he can stay consistent to the point and really get down to it, he had some really good points. I will agree, Gengar, I want to say the last probably 2 months has been pretty rough with him and trying to stay, because he kind of deviates and then comes back, and like you said, gets really hard to watch him because he's not articulating the points very well. He's kind of getting off point and then comes back to point and then gets off of it again. He keeps taking these little side trails, so that might be something he'll work through here too as time moves on, or it could get worse. I don't know for sure on that. Gengar, he also said there's a lot of young influencers in the hobby and their maturity level is reflecting. I've become a lot more sensitive on who I listen to anymore. Okay, that's what I was just saying when it came down to it, Gengar. At the very end here, that's exactly what I was thinking, is that you can tell the maturity level, a lot of them, and when they start repeating like 2020, 2021, some of the nonsense that was coming just because we're in another boom or another bear or bull market at this point in time, going into kind of a cool down. It's funny how you always hear the things that things repeat, and this is exactly what we're seeing. We're just seeing things repeat. Now the question is how many of them are going to make it beyond another 2 years, or are we going to see a massive kill off or drop off of a lot of individuals here in the Pokemon space in the next few months? That definitely could happen. That definitely could be something that will occur here fairly quickly, just because of the fact that this market change. When we get through not black and white, but Black Bolt, White Flare here, coming out in a couple weeks, that's really going to decide how this market's going to go. Are we going to have the same issues like going from Sword and Shield to Scarlet and Violet, where we start having this drawdown, this slowdown, this loss of interest in the changes that are going to occur? Are we going into this Mega? Is the Mega going to have a base set? Is it going to be a new generation? Are we getting new? Nobody can really specify anything at this point in time. And until we get some clarity on that, it's really going to be interesting to see how overall this whole thing's going to roll forward and how we're going to continue to see things as we watch things unfold going into the next generation of Pokemon TCG, or this little sub-generation that they're doing with the Megas. What they do here will be very interesting, and how this market handles and the maturity level and the influencers, these young influencers, how they adapt and how they adapt their content to that are definitely going to be a really interesting perspective to watch as we move forward. So Once again, I didn't put any shout out to very many young content creators because of the fact that it's just not there. I know Team Rocket Joey isn't actually all that old. I mean, but he's been around. He's been growing a channel for quite a while on the backside. He's just getting a lot of popularity at this point in time. Jimbo, thank you so much for joining in. 30th. I don't know what that means, Jimbo. But thank you so much for joining in. We got Pokenewflow. Hello from Seattle. Well, welcome on in, Seattle. And he says here, what's your long-term outlook on the Van Gogh Pikachu PSA 10? That is a very good question. Personally, I think that's going to do, I think it'll do futuristically. I think it'll do well. I mean, we could take a look at some of the other promos that have followed in that set point. So if you want to go to like a lot of the art collecting ones, you can go to the Scream ones as well. Because you're talking about the Pikachu and the gray felt hat. PSA 10 right now, sitting at about $958, and it has been consistently kind of moving up nice and slow here for the last month, pretty much. Starting at about June 11th, we were at 814, and we are currently up to about 836, 30 or 86 or 960 right now. So you've seen a pretty good gain, and it's kind of just moved up like that pretty consistently. Like it keeps going. It jumps and it kind of flats, and it jumps and it flats, and it jumps a little bit again. We're not seeing big retractions on it, and the only thing that absolutely blows my mind on it is how many there actually are. Has anybody actually looked at the population on this beast? So, as a population right now, there are 40,402 of these things out there, and there's still almost $1,000 for a PSA 10. To me, that is a very, very high PSA 10 ratio, and it's about a 50-50 to that and a 9, because a 9 is 36,795. Yep, Pokenewflow, 40K. There are 40,000 of them, and there are 37,000 of them in a 9. So, and plus that means that some of those 9s, someone were to crack them, try again, you might be able to get a 9. Because you think about it, if you crack that out and it goes from a 9 to a 10, you're going to almost triple your value on that, going from a 9 to a 10. And right now, this card in a raw is sitting at about $330. So, but once again, a lot of times, PK's talked about it, I've talked about it. Even though you grade this today in a 9, and if the value continues to kind of do this slow growth over time and continue to go up in value, just because you bought a raw, graded it now, got it back for $350 into it, it's $345 for the grade. If you were to sit there and wait maybe another year, the PSA 9 may be $500, and you still have value in it. So once again, just because you get a PSA 9 on some of these high flying cards does not mean that you've necessarily lost. It just means that you may have to wait a little bit longer, and you're not getting quick return on your money. You can sit there and look at an Umbreon. That was a good example that came up for a lot of individuals out there, is the Umbreon, is that if you go and actually take a look at that Umbreon, so I'll just pull open the Umbreon from, here it is, from Evolving Skies, and it's a good example. So if you were to sit there and turn on the 9 grade, so I'm just going to turn on the 9 only. But if you sit there and look at that, so if you were to grade it a 9 a year ago, a 9 would have been running you $650 compared to a 10, which was at $1,270 at that point in time. Which, yes, if you were to bought it raw at that point in time, so the raw value at that point as well was $680. So if you look at that, I'm sorry, I was almost a year and a half ago, but still, the theory still works. So if you go back a year and a half ago, now look at the price of a 9 today. So if you sit there and if you would have gotten the 9, even if you would have graded it, bought it raw, graded it, technically broke even or slightly lost money by the time you paid the sales fees for like eBay or something like that to resell it. But let's just say you would have taken that, thrown it in the closet. Okay, I got an Umbreon, I'm going to chuck it in the closet, I'm going to forget about it now. Today, that Umbreon right now is going for $1,500 in a PSA 9, right there. So you would have over doubled the value, almost 2.5 times the value in a year and a half on a card in a PSA 9 form. So even though you get a PSA 9, does not mean it's the end of the world. It does not mean that you're necessarily going to lose value on your investment. It just means that you're not getting that upfront quick feel good of your investment. Like, you're not going to get that instant gratification of big money. So yes, if you would have bought it raw, got it at $600, you would have graded it at a 10, you would have jumped straight up to $1,200-$1,300, but that didn't happen. You got the 9, so you had to wait a year and a half, and you still made more than $1,200. So what? You took up a little space in your closet. Yeah, you had a little capital tied up for a little bit, but sometimes in some of those big name cards, having capital tied up for a little bit of time is not a big deal. Now, granted, if it was something like something that's on a downward track, or you're trying to beat or race to the bottom, and you would have tried to beat that chase to the bottom, yeah, you might have to wait even longer. So, for example, we go to Journey Together, Lily's Clefairy. Do we think Lily's Clefairy is going to make a massive turnaround here in the near future, and all of a sudden rip roar back up and make money on a PSA 9? If you get a 9 right now, you buy them raw for 130, you grade them, you're up to about 150 for the grading plus sales, about 165 to break even. And a 9 right now is 130. So there again, are you going to get back up to 165, 200 on a PSA 9 Lily's Clefairy in the next year and a half? I don't know if you will. So at that point, you got to make that decision. Is it time to just cut bait, get out of it, and forget about it and move on to the next item? Take the money, take the loss, a little bit of a loss, and go into something that's going to move more? Or is it better to hold out and maybe wait 2 years and see if Lily's Clefairy goes up to $200 in a PSA 9? Do you think the 10 is going to turn tail from $375 and go all the way up to like $500-600? The PSA 9 will probably follow suit about 1/3 to half that price down. So there again, you're kind of just waiting to see if that PSA 10 will have some value. Currently, it's just been on a steady downward trend, and that's going to continue to happen with that particular card right now for the near foreseeable future. So once again, it's all up to the analytics and what you feel that card's going to do. If you get a high student like the Sunbreon, I think that if you were to get that in a 9 right now, I'd sit on it. I would sit on a Sunbreon just because of the fact of the history of an Umbreon and how they perform. I think that you're going to have value in it if you get a 9 now and you wait. If you wait a couple months, a year, the 9 is probably going to retrace and go back up. So yeah, I think that the value is just all in the eyes of the beholder at this point in time, and certain cards are always going to do better than others. You got that Sunbreon sitting at about $1,600 or $1,600 and a 10. You're at about $980. So if you were to buy that card raw right now at $1,000, you'd lose money at a 9. But if you wait, we're on a downward trend. Do you think that a year from now, that card's not going to go up more than what it is right now? Depends on how much they reprint of Prismatic too. If we're still in reprint zone, evolution or Evolving Skies, that we're not going to see any more product coming of that one. So what's out there is out there. The number of Umbreons that are going to be found are very limited, and that is going to be a real question, is when we get through the reprint area of Prismatic Evolutions. What will the value of that Umbreon continue to do at that point in time? I think that that's going to be the real question when it comes down to it here in the near future, when it comes down to the Umbreon, to a lot of these cards, especially in the Scarlet and Violet era. When we're out of reprint range and there's no more coming, what is going to happen to the value of these cards, and can they perform and hold their own at that point in time? Antonio, thank you so much for joining in. Antonio says, hi. He says, you think buying Japanese singles and grading would make decent money? I am always hesitant about trying to make money on grading anything. Do I think that there's money? Yes. If you're going to do it, seriously look at getting a proxy account in Japan and sell on eBay Japan, because they are paying. I just did that with some of my 151 stuff. I've got a proxy account now in the Japanese eBay. I have a guy over there that lives there. He's selling them under a proxy account for me. By doing so now, I am selling them about 3 times higher than what I could make on the U.S. market for equivalent pricing. So they are selling a lot higher. PSA is more difficult to get there, which is another factor to it. But the other factor is that it's hard for them to send to PSA here and then ship back. So if you can get them PSA 10s and ship them over to Japan, they will pay a premium for those. I just sold some from 151, about 7 cards that went to Japan, and really smooth transaction. But once again, you almost got to have someone in place to get that proxy account to be able to do that. But yeah, there's the English market just doesn't buy Japanese cards as well as the Japanese market does. It makes sense, right? Kind of like selling Korean cards in the United States. Getting a PSA 10 Korean card really doesn't give you a huge value compared to the English counterpart. And that's a huge part of it as well. Let's see here. We got Pack Fam. Hey, Northwoods, enjoy your content. Keep it up. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for dropping in. Make sure you guys hit that like buttons. I see the likes going up, so greatly appreciate it. And like I said, we should be back to 9:15 start time for on Tuesdays. I'm going to try and maintain that now. Baseball season's done, so should be a lot easier for me to be able to do that. And I've got I'm working on some content here too. And I need to be on a consistent train with the content. I've been trying to keep up with the shorts and trying to keep shorts going at least every day to every other day, trying to keep that content, that growth going on there. So it's definitely been helping, being consistent, a little bit more consistent, at least trying to do something, or at least doing a short every single day on the channel has seen some benefits. And if you're new here, make sure you guys hit that subscribe as well. Greatly appreciate it as we continue to try and bolster back up to 5,000. My goal is to try and get this channel rolling the other direction again and keep pushing things forward as we keep moving up. And once again, it's greatly appreciated for all the support. And if you do want to support Northwoods TCG, of course, a great way to do that is number one, buy from NorthwoodsTCG.com if you're looking for your Pokemon products. And number two, join the membership, which you can get discounts at NorthwoodsTCG.com. PokeFam, or just buy merch. One last thing, you can buy just Northwoods TCG merch. The link is down below as well. If you just want to buy t-shirts, hoodies, things like that, definitely goes to supporting the channel. PackFam, we've been ripping Japanese because it's more fun, better hit rates, guaranteed hits, keeping English sealed. The cards are just better looking in Japanese too. I do 100% agree with that. I've said that before. The print quality of Japanese is a lot cleaner than English. I think that it's a lot nicer prints overall. And then the other thing is, like you're saying, you can get hits in every single box. So if I go and if I open up these boxes right here of Japanese, whether I take VMAX Climax or I take V-Star Universe and I open it up, I know I'm going to get a hit out of those. If I go and buy or go open up an ETB of Crown Zenith, I got no guarantee that I'm going to get a good hit. I'm not going to get an SIR out of that box. There's no guarantee on any of the products in English that you're going to get that hit rate. So, yes, the texture's better. The print quality's better. It's crisper. It's cleaner. I will 100% back you on that, Pack Fam, that you are 100% right on when you say that, because my experience is that the Japanese quality is just that much better. I've done that with the Articuno. You know, we had the Articuno promo from Crown Zenith, and I had the Articuno from the Japanese. Both of which, beautiful cards. I do like them. I love the Articuno card coming out of Crown Zenith and from VMAX Climax or V-Star Universe. But overall, quality, tons better. Terrestrial was an absolute blast. SIR in every box. Exactly. And actually, Terrestrial Festival isn't too bad in price. You can find that actually now fairly good pricing around the United States, and it's not too bad. I've seen it down to... what was it, about $78, $75 booster box right now, a box of Terrestrial Festival. I'm looking right now on my website. So right now on the Japanese website, or the website that I have sells Japanese, they got it right now for $85. So they went back up. They were $78 the other day. They were back up to $85. I see there's a couple like Plaza Japan, which is a really common one to get from. That's about $95, and right now TCG Player is about $91. So you got some variation in there, but still, you're guaranteed an SIR hit. So are you really going wrong when it comes down to that compared to English? And yes, the PSA 10s on it aren't going to bring you as much value. 100% will say that that's true. The value is just not there. I think Antonio and I have had that conversation a few times. When it comes down to the Japanese versus the English, is the fact that we just don't get the value out of the PSA 10s that you do the PSA 10 in English. So it's definitely a downside to it, but it's still a lot of fun to open. You're going to get SIRs, better chances at God Packs, things like that. Well, I don't know if it's better chance at God Packs. Just a lot of their sets have God Packs and the English does not. Now, English is getting in the God Packs. It's a new thing. Do you think now is the time to buy PE singles with the drop? I would still kind of hold on Prismatic Evolutions. I don't think we're done seeing Prismatic Evolutions at this point in time. That's kind of my feeling on it is that I always hate new sets because it's a 50-50. If you don't get a reprint, the price is going to continue to drop. If you get or continue to stall or stay or start going up. If you get another massive reprint, then the price will continue to go down. Everything is still right now. All of them are on a downward trend at this point in time. And if everything's still on a downward trend, if you're looking at buying singles, now's the time to just chill and every day go check the singles you're trying to buy. If you start using like Pokedata.io, you can also put alerts in here. So for anybody that doesn't use Pokedata.io, you can actually sit there and put alerts on some of these cards now. If I think it's a pro feature. I don't use the Pro, but you can do like price alerts, that kind of stuff. So if you are trying to catch cards at a really decent price, then you can definitely use that price alerts to be able to do that. You can do it up to 20 cards with like $6 a month, and take advantage of that part of it. So yeah, this is something to consider, that if you are trying to track pricing, trying to really dial in on that pricing, you can set alerts that if it hits $30, or if it, for example, the Umbreon right now is 1021. Well, you can put an alert saying that if it goes down to 1025, give me an alert that tells me it's going back up. Or I can say if it goes to $1,000, alert me, so that I know that it's going down in price and might be a time to purchase on these things. So you can really dial in on some of these cards by using some of these apps. I think the Dragon Shield does the exact same thing. I personally like Pokedata.io a little bit better. Dragon Shield has a good app. The PokeTCG app from Dragon Shield's pretty good too, because they do have like trending, which I do like as well on there. Their fees a little bit high for what they offer, in my opinion. Unless you're building collections and like downloading collections, then it's good. But yeah, Pokedata.io is great. I'm paying the yearly membership on that just to get that gold standard on here so that I can have the alerts. So if there's something I'm specifically tuning in on, Pokedata.io is very, very good at doing that. Horizon, welcome on in. Oh, Antonio, I missed Antonio, but Horizon, thank you so much for joining in. Antonio, value difference is huge. Like English Umbreon from Prismatic and Terrestrial Festival are huge. Yes, they are. They're gigantic between the two of them. So for the English version, for example, we are at, 1020 right now for the English version. And if we kick over to the Japanese, just to give you a price, and this is going to just be the raw version of it. So, but if we go to the raw version of it, it's $285. So, I mean, you're talking almost a quarter of the value by going to the Japanese version. And even like the Flareon EX, yes, the raw version is $125 right now. And a PSA 10 is only $85 now. So it's just insane, the price difference between them. But and it's the same artwork. I mean, that's the thing is, that's why I always laugh when people sit there and go, well, I only care about the artwork. And then you just buy Japanese. Why wouldn't you go buy Japanese if you cared about the artwork? The only thing different between them is the language on them. Who cares if you're looking for the artwork? So, yeah, I mean, if you really, that's why I actually have the Japanese version. I graded the Japanese version just because I didn't want to pay that high value for the English version, and it's the exact same card, so why not? Horizon says, bro, all these influences are blowing up, and you still only have 5,000. We have to figure this out. You are like the best Poke guy on YouTube. Thanks for what you do. Well, thank you so much for that. The best way to help me out, honestly, Horizon, if you guys do want to help me blow up this channel, is share this channel. If you guys know individuals that you have in your friend groups, or out there on YouTube, share it on your Instagram, share the channel, because sharing is caring, and it really does help. Making sure you hit that like and comment on every video is also a great thing for all of my consistent followers to do. But it's mainly a lot of it is to the fact that I was slouching a lot. I was focusing more on the Pokemon business when times were slow. I continue to do my lives every single week, just like now. I do my weekly lives, but that's basically all I was doing for a long period of time. So it is a conclusion of my own fault. I'm not going to sit there and say that it's the algorithm or anything like that, but it's me. I need to focus down really hard on my content again, and really that's what I want to start doing, is focusing down on content and pushing the content and really starting to work on that and making better content. And then number two, getting the fan base running again, getting you guys working for me again, hitting that like button, hitting the comments, go back to my old videos, put them on your table and just play them on the table, interact with them, put a comment, hit a like on it, and make sure that you help out. That's a fantastic way to help my channel out, to get things going. I do want to push past 5K here soon. My ultimate goal is eventually get to about 10K. I think that'd be awesome to have a 10K channel, and it's kind of my commitment right now to you guys as well, is to really start focusing down, getting back into some of the communities that I've let kind of slide a little bit, and start focusing a lot on this on the YouTube space in general. So, but thank you so much, Horizon, for the kind words. It's greatly appreciated. PokeFan says, yeah, PokeDad is great. Antonio says, Horizon, most PokeTubers blow up are either chill bait or clickbait. And that's the other fact too, is that that's always been one of my downsides is on this channel. When it comes down to, if I was trying to just grow a channel, I don't do like clickbaity. I don't do drama. I don't like sitting there and causing drama. I'm not a drama channel. It's never been my thing. I don't like doing it. Antonio, I think, can tell you, I've done like four videos in the history of this channel where I've actually like spoke out against another content creator. I've done it against PokeVault, done it against NN. I've done it against PokeRev, the one video, and there's one other one somewhere along the line that I have said something about, but I've just decided it isn't where. Oh, Pokenav. I said some stuff about Pokenav in a video, but it's been very, very, very small. I don't like drama. I don't think that building a channel and a community on drama and clickbaity titles and that kind of stuff is a good channel for longevity. I think that from what I've seen in the past, those end up being burnout channels, and I'd rather have slow growth with consistent content and consistent followers that are more. I don't want people that are just like these, what I want to say, shield people. Like you sit there and you go to some of the chats and you say something bad about that content creator or say something against what that content creator says. You get 72 people that are like protecting that content creator, and I've made that clear to you guys as well. I don't want that kind of channel. I don't want to have people like my shields. I can be my own shield. I don't need someone protecting me in the background. That's not what I want. I want a channel of individuals that are like-minded, or even if you're not like-minded and want to have an intuitive conversation on something, that's the kind of channel that I want. I want to continue to build an intuitive channel where we can have a conversation, disagree, but yet have a good disagreement conversation on that and say, no, this is why I think this, but you have very good points. And I think that we could really grow on both of these points and go down both those holes and see which one is better. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, there's definitely those kind of opportunities. Horizon says, to be honest, I've tried to comment on other channels and I either get disregarded or bullied out. This guy actually acknowledges us regardless of our opportunity. Yeah, option or opinion. I do. I try and always give you an opportunity, or my feedback. And if I disagree, I disagree. But I mean, if you disagree with me, that's fine. I mean, we can have an intuitive conversation with a disagreement. I absolutely love that. I love being disagreed against and having a conversation to maybe show you my points on why it's this way, or maybe you show me the points on why you're that way, and you could change my mind. I will adjust. So I have no problem. I don't try fight people. There's no point in fighting with people. Antonio, fast growth, but people jump to other channels and dead subscribers that don't click much on their videos, and it hurts your algorithm. Exactly. And that's kind of what I've got going on a little bit here. I'm seeing more movement now. I'm seeing like older people starting to come back more consistently and having a really good discussion now, where we're seeing some movement, more comments, more growth, more views. So my views are continuing to grow as well. So these are all things that overall are going to be very good for the channel to continue to get this thing going. It's going to take time. It's pretty much like starting back at 1,000 subscribers and trying to get that train going again. Let's see here. Pack fam, have you heard any info on mega sets? I've seen pre-orders dropping in price, maybe no big hitters. Pack fam, Rylu looks awesome. Yeah, there's a cool Rylu card inside of there that's coming. There's also some really good megas coming, some Gardevoir. I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with the Gardevoir line as well in there, because we do know there's a mega Gardevoir line. Let me see, because if you want to know a lot of the information on this stuff, if you go to Poke Beach, a lot of times as these cards come out and as this information's come out, Pack fan, make sure you follow Poke Beach or Poke Guardian, both of which very good at getting us the details. Very, very good. The details on the yeah. Card. Be honest with you, I know I've seen the Lucario. I've seen a couple of the cards come through. Once again, PTC or PTCG Radio, another one, has been very, very good at getting ahead of this stuff. Yep, make sure you follow Poke Beach. Poke Beach has got some really good information on it. So, and they're, once again, you know, PTCG Radio, very, very good getting ahead of stuff, getting that information out there at the same time. And he does it in video format and really likes to go over it. So Personally, I think that he does really good too. So there's some really good information coming out right now. We're starting to get a feel for what we got because we got Mega Evolutions coming, and that's going to be the third set of 2025. Trying to see because there were some cards released. So I'm trying to pull them open. I don't know. There's going to be some decent bangers, and I mean, there's going to be. Is there going to be a Venusaur? Because there's the Mega Gardevoir, so we're gonna have a Mega Gardevoir. We got the Mega Latias in there. Once again, we have a couple of them starting to release right now. So we got to cool that Bulbasaur looks pretty sick. I like the Vulpix too. Ryluk looks pretty good. And you got a nice Inteleon card coming as well for just some of the sneak peek illustration rares that have been sneak peeked. We haven't seen any of the SIRs or anything of that. Mega Venusaur's out. I have not seen the Mega Venusaur. That's what I'm looking for. I mean, I've seen the Bulbasaur, Vulpix, the Inteleon, and Ryluk. I did see those four come. So no, I have not seen the Mega Venusaur. I'm gonna have to. Now you're making me look for the Mega Venusaur. So Mega Evolutions. Mega. I'm just looking up right now. Mega Venusaur EX. See, I can't find an SIR version of that. Yeah, I'm not seeing the SIR, but I'll do some research on that one. I just see the regular, like the EX version, but not the SIR version of it. I don't see an SIR yet. So it's probably out there. Okay. Yeah, that I was going to say, because I'm not seeing an SIR or anything bigger than an Illustrator. I see the Mega Venusaur, so we know we got a Mega Venusaur coming in the set. Ryluk, Gardevoir. Someone said a Salamence, but I haven't seen anything on that either yet at this point in time. Abomasnow is supposed to be in there as well. So there's supposed to be a Mega Abomasnow in there. And once again, we're going to get a lot more information here in the near future. This is just getting it all out there. Hope it helps the old Megas. It will. You know, in general, a lot of times, especially if we get similar, same names, especially, it's going to work out really well. Because if they go to Mega, like you type in Mega Venusaur EX, you're getting the XY versions as well. So you're going to help out several fronts. I mean, it's just natural that people are going to see the older stuff and potentially purchase the older stuff because you put Mega Venusaur inside on front of things, and that's definitely an occurrence that could occur at this as we move forward, of course. So that's what our kind of hopes are, is that a lot of us that have been last year kind of banking on Megas getting the EXs getting ground hold again. We're kind of hoping that does work out, because I know, like, iFOMO, I haven't seen him in the chat tonight, but iFOMO and I have been really talking about buying Megas for last year, and we've got a pretty good stash of them that we built up. So I'm hoping that works out, because that would be a really cool play if it actually does plan out, that because we go in the Mega EXs again, that we might actually see some of those, like the old Gardevoir EX, the Alakazam EX, the Venusaur EXs, Charizard, Blastoise, all of them had Mega EXs. Horizon says, how do you feel about the V-Hero tin? 4 packs each, 2 are Evolving Skies. You can grow in value, currently around $60 each. 2025 is that. Come here. I think it's this one, right? You're talking these tins, right? I think they're the V-Hero tins. I think it's the V-Hero. Yeah, V-Hero tins. As long as Evolving Skies keeps going up, the value of these tins is going to go up. So I've got about 12 of them over there in the corner. I haven't even ripped open yet. They've just been sitting there sealed. But, I mean, realistically, from what I've been seeing on them, they've been holding pretty consistent to the value of the actual packs inside of them. So we're not really seeing a breakaway necessarily in value compared to the packs, because you think about it, you got 2 Evolving Skies packs in there. So if you figure Evolving Skies packs right now, where are they at? So let's look them up real quick. Where are we at on Evolving Sky? I always try. I don't keep track of it as hard as I should probably. Someone's gonna be like, "Well, don't you know this?" No. 27. So with tax, you're $2 more, so 29. So you're $29. So realistically, right now, you're actually behind. You'd actually be better off ripping that open than paying. You're getting the value actually. So if you do $60, because what is in here? Battles? Is there a? I'm trying to remember. There's 2 Evolving Skies. There's a Brilliant Stars. And a Fusion Strike inside of here. So at $60, you're actually getting a really good value. I mean, you're really getting the evolving. The tin is getting paid for with the Evolving Skies at $29 a piece. You're gonna have to sell one of the other packs, like the Fusion Strike, to be able to cover the sales costs if you're going through like TCG Player. And then you make up your money on the Brilliant Stars as your profit at that point in time. But it depends on what version you get too, so you got to be careful. It's got to be the fully. The problem is that there's also another version of this tin. You got to be careful though, because there's the one that's like wrapped like around the center, not completely sealed. They got to be completely sealed, and you got to tilt them up because there's that hex pattern up here. You got to see that honeycomb hex pattern up there. If it's missing those 2 things, they do not have Evolving Skies in them. There are like three Brilliant Stars and a Fusion Strike or something like that. Okay. I think these versions are Fusion Strike and Brilliant Stars with 2 Evolving Skies. But if they're not completely sealed, then you're not getting Evolving Skies. Yeah, I would think so, because I was going to look, and I know pre-release starts this weekend, I believe. So we're going to be having pre-release here this weekend. I was going to go check and see because I just thought about that. That pre-release should be starting this weekend. If pre-release is starting this weekend, then Friday we should be getting a lot of information dropped on the megas. The mega set here for our English stuff. So yeah, we're going to be getting a lot of information here coming up on Friday for sure, just because of the fact that everything is just kind of coming together right there at that point in time. So I'm looking right now to see, because it's pre-release, because pre-release is this weekend. I know that's coming up. Events. What's our event schedule here? So they just have League this weekend, so they must be doing their pre-release will be next weekend. They usually do it the weekend before. I do know that. So I'm guessing that we got pre-release here. So yeah, Saturday is that. Yeah, they don't even have pre-release. The mega set is a full set, right? Oh, yeah, Horizon, I can do that. So this is, I used to have one, and I think I got rid of it because I got tired of holding it up. If you want the ones that have Evolving Skies in them, for sure, they have to be completely sealed. You see how this one's got like the plastic all the way, it's like completely encapsulated in the plastic. Full wrap. If you buy the other ones, they'll have just the wrap around the center. So it'll be, do it with this one. Some of these tins here, if I find them, have, not that one. I don't have any tins with the center wrap. Some of the tins will just have a wrap around the center of them. And if it's just around the center, like here, just across here, but it's not sealed, encapsulated, it won't have Evolving Skies. And then on top of it, there's another version that's encapsulated. You have to tip it, and if you look right above like the Espeon, like up at an angle in there, you'll see the yellow like crosshatch for like the hexagon pattern on here. If it has that, it'll for sure have Evolving Skies. If it doesn't have those 2 things, it will not have Evolving Skies in it. So that's another reason why this tin's value is actually less than the price of the packs. If you get the Evolving Skies, you're basically, if for $60, you're taking a gamble on which one you're getting. So these ones I got from Walmart because they kept coming like every week, and I kept buying them every week when times were slow because they all had Evolving Skies in it, and I was banking on buying a lot of Evolving Skies. I was okay with buying Evolving Skies back then in a tin. Yep, Antonio says I got mine from Pokemon Center. Yeah, and if they came from Pokemon Center or fully encapsulated and check inside of there, I think all the ones from Pokemon Center had Evolving Skies in it. The last grouping they did, but There's a couple different versions of that because there's also the Flareon, what is it? The Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon tins like this. And those have 2 Evolving Skies in them as well. And I think that there's only one version of those ones out there from what I remember. All right. Wow, time flies when we're having fun, right, guys? It's already been over an hour. So thank you guys, everybody that's been here. Greatly appreciated. Fun to see it live like this. Nice to see everything moving again. Like I said, we're going to do consistent lives. I'm going to continue to do consistent shorts on here. There's 2 versions, I think. There is. Same thing. I think the versioning is the exact same thing. Once again, if it's fully encapsulated, you're probably got really good odds of getting Evolving Skies in it, but just double check if you can see, like here, I can hold it. I can't see it. I can't really show it in the video. I mean, let's see if I can hold that. Uh-oh. Did I freak it out? Hey, camera. There it is. I don't know if I can get it, but you can see right above the V there, there is a little yellow mark right there above the E and O on the screen. You can see the little yellow hue right there. That's got that little hex pattern. Like they used to know that with Hidden Fates, what version. So if you wanted to know what version the Hidden Fates tins were, if they were the first version or after, the first version always has that yellow hatch mark on it. And the later versions did not. It was just straight black. So that's another way that you can see it when it comes down to these tins. So that's just ways to verify when you're buying these, especially if you're at like a trade show or something and you see these tins. Because sometimes they'll be selling these at like $80 at a trade show. And if they're selling these at $80 at a trade show, take into consideration that you got to know what you're looking for, because they're just going to sell this tin. They don't really care if you know what's in it or not. They're just going to sell it, and if they sell it, they sell it, and if they'll get what they can out of it. So just something to consider, that if you're going to trade shows, if you're looking at buying these products at trade shows, or sometimes they'll be selling these at $60 at a trade show, and you can pick through and maybe get the good ones out of there, depending on the store owner's knowledge of these particular products. So take your advantages where you can right now in this market, for sure. But all right, guys, you guys have any more questions here real quick? I'll go in a little bit of overtime here, maybe go another 5 minutes if you guys got any questions. If not, we're going to probably wrap it up for this evening. And then, like I said, I'm working on getting some content here. I got some ideas all cooked up, and I'm probably going to do a little bit more, less edited videos and more just straight talk discussion videos. I'm kind of looking at trying to get things a little bit quicker and try and push content a little bit quicker. So you might not get the cool little openings and stuff that I do. It might be just more basic content at this point in time. Because once again, my goal right now is to try and push the channel and try and push things a little bit further forward and continue to grow this channel. I want to try and get up to 5,000 here. My goal is to be sure at 5,000 by the end of the year. But, you know, if I can get higher than 5,000, I'd be absolutely awesome. That's kind of my goal right now and my push. So once again, make sure you guys hit that like button. I see there's about 12 to 14 viewers out there right now. Make sure you guys hit that like button before you leave. Greatly appreciate it. Help out the channel. If you are watching this later, make sure you leave a comment and hit that like button. Also, share the channel to people you know. Great way to help it out. And also, go to the Discord. Help me out on the Discord. We're trying to grow on that a little bit as well. I've been trying to post things up, trying to do some fun things on there. But I know, once again, I've kind of let a lot of things slide that I really didn't have time for. And now I'm trying to just focus down and kind of change my ADD into the right focus points again, because I kind of got scatterbrained a little bit, and I want to bring it back and have some fun and just have these conversations with you guys and continue to help you guys out on your Pokemon path and on your Pokemon decisions here as we're moving forward. So once again, guys, thank you guys, everybody. I haven't seen any new comments, so greatly appreciated for everybody that's joined in. Glad to have you in here as always. Glad to see a bunch of new faces and a lot more movement here on the channel as well. The more movement is definitely appreciated, so thank you so much for that. Once again, hit that like button before you leave. Consider the channel membership for supporting the channel. And last but not least, make sure you guys check out the merch and that as well. Help us out a little bit there. TikTok might get shut down again. No, it is not getting shut down. It's getting changed names. It's coming out like M2 or something like that. Everybody's getting shifted into M2. So there'll be a new version of it, an American version of it that's coming out. I don't know. I'm so done with TikTok anymore. I really don't care anymore. So, but there will be an American version, something like that. Yeah. So basically what's going to happen is from TikTok, from our understanding, very little information on TikTok right now for anybody out there. But basically TikTok is going away and they're making an Oracle, and some of the American owners of TikTok are creating a new version called M2. You just need to download the app starting like next March. You're going to have to download that app, but starting October, it's supposed to be released. And you're supposed to almost roll into that, or your information will automatically roll into that app if you do log into it. Basically, if you log into that account, it's going to delete your TikTok account, move all your information into the new app, and you're just going to continue into there. Is it going to change much? Nobody knows. I've looked at so many people, and everybody's just guessing. Nobody knows for sure what's going on with that. So, overall, guys, thank you guys, everybody joins in, Horizon Antonio and PokeFam. Thank you so much for being here. Once again, hit that like, subscribe, and notify so you know when we're posting on the channel. Number 2, make sure you guys join us on our lives. Once again, it helps the channel. You don't have to buy anything. You don't even have to get in, you can just sit there and talk and discuss things like Antonio does. If you guys want to just join us, we'll be live on Friday and Sunday, 9 p.m. Central Time. Pack Fam. So, yeah, thank you so much, Pack Fam. Yeah, if you want to just join us on Friday and Sunday, just talk. I mean, having a discussion and keeping the live going makes a huge difference on that algorithm to keep things going and keep things fresh and keep it moving. So even if you don't purchase anything, you just want to come talk Pokemon, relax, and have some fun, we can do that. So other than that, thank you everybody for joining us. Hit that subscribe, notify, and like once again. And we hope to see you next time live here on Northwoods TCG.